better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Yes, everyone, it is the Kim Jacobs Show, and I'm so excited and honored to be here today with some additional authors that have collaborated in a huge movement called My Walk Past Hell. We have Dr. Yolonda Jerry here, we have Carlene Nichols here, we have Shay Johnson here, Lisa Evans, Geneva, Ashley, and Rion, and I'll just leave it as her stage name, Rion. Okay, so we are so excited to have you all here with us today. How are you, ladies? Just my wave of hands. Are you all right over there? Yes, yes. So glad to have you all, and also so honored to have you all in the virtual studio audience. Go ahead and grab your seats and share today's broadcast. We're going to be talking about a very sensitive topic. These women have done nothing short of miraculous accomplishments, and it kind of just tears me up right away because not everyone gets an opportunity to come on a platform to share their harrowing experience of how they've survived somebody violating their space to the level where it could have taken their lives. So I really personally just want to say thank you, ladies, for your courage, for coming forward, for being able to help some other women and men, because men hearing your story may choose to act differently, or women may choose to act differently towards men that are doing domestic violence type of situations as a result of your story. So my hat is off to you all. I salute you all and thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Dr. Yolanda, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I see you almost had to correct yourself. See?
You know, when you've known somebody as one thing forever, that's a shame. That's what people do. You can't let people get rid of their past, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But you have a good past and you have a great future. So I'm honored to just know you. Glad to have you here today, Dr. Yolanda.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here on your platform as always. So thank you for having myself and the rest of the authors of My Walk Past Hell Volume 3.
Well, tell us about Volume 1 and 2 first, and then what made Volume 3 come about? Because this is a movement.
I know, right? And we still going. Well, My Walk Past Hell itself, the title, right, it was birthed out of, for one, me being an advocate for domestic violence and sexual assault. But, you know, through the years, I've seen many people experience things such as those two issues, but not just those two issues. There's various issues that I've had to have encounters with different individuals on, whether it was child abuse, whether it was human trafficking. So this is definitely a movement, but this was something that the Lord has given me because he trusted me to walk this out, right? And so I've contributed, I've shared my story, you know, my domestic violence story, when I was co-author of another book. And so that kind of opened the door for me to be a part of various different books as a contributing author. But, you know, back in 2000, the Lord was like, okay, you just pouring into everybody else's stuff. Now it's time for you to stand on your own and do your own thing. And so now it's time for you to birth your baby. And so with that being said, I had like 3 titles that I was going back and forth with, right? And this particular title, My Walk Past Hell, stuck out, you know, because I had to pray about this. And I was like, okay, Lord, help me with this, because I got 3 titles here and I don't know which one to choose. And he was like, basically telling me, you know what the obvious one is. And so when I chose My Walk Past Hell, I was a little hesitant, you know, because it's such a title that just kind of just hit you in the face,
right in your face.
Right. And for me, being someone who is a woman of faith, sometimes we all do this. We wonder what people would think of us, right? When
Right.
we
It's a given.
were just bold in your face like that, or will we be
Right.
judged? And at the end of the day, God was like, I got this and I got you. So with that confirmation, I just decided to go forward with it. Now, that first volume, you'll see, as a matter of fact, one of these co-authors that's here today, this is going to be her second go around being part of 3, but she was a part of volume 1, and volume 1 had 30 women in that anthology.
Let me put that
uh,
up for a second.
30 women sharing their story, and they took me on a roller coaster ride, I will say. I went through some Kleenex, a whole lot of Kleenex, but it was good because, I feel to believe that if it touched me that way, it would touch other people that way, and
Yes.
inspire others. So then when that was done, we hit number 1 bestseller, by the way, in multiple categories on there
Way to go, way to
and
go.
on Amazon. And so then it was like, okay, he's like, the Lord was like, I'm not done with you. He said, this is just the beginning. And so he said, now I need you to go ahead and put a call out for volume 2 with the men this time. And I'm like, what? Not, wait a minute. First of all, it's like, what men are going to, we guess us women out here doing it, right? But
Right.
it's like what sometimes we think, what men are going to follow a woman in a project like this. And
Mm.
so that was thoughts that was running through my mind. So I had the conversation with my husband. He was my fiance at the time, and he said, I will support you 100%. And I asked him, I said, well, would you be the one who sat there and be the person that actually wrote in the book as well? And he said yes. And so, having said that,
That gave you some brownie points, by the way, just so you
it,
know. So he's like, "Oh, baby, I will do whatever you want, and yes, I will spearhead this for my baby."
yeah.
Okay, go ahead,
So
carry
he said, I'll write in whatever part of the book you want me to write in. And so he did it. And by him doing that, that let me know that I had the support, and I can go ahead and just put it out there. And I did.
on.
And so when I did that, we had a total of 9 men altogether that came and shared their health story.
Let me
Some of them
put
went
that
through
one up. I
abuse.
think I have it. Let me see. And look at the
There you
covers. I
go.
love the imagery. The imagery, just by doing these emoji things. That's some
Right.
beautiful imagery.
Yeah, so the men came in, they told their story. Some of them dealt with the same thing. And what people don't understand, men deal with the same things that us women deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go through abuse, they deal with those type things too as well. They deal with, discrimination on the jobs, all those different things. So they told their story in their own way. And that one became number 1 bestseller in multiple categories too. So, kudos to the men. And so now we're here with volume 3. This volume is special to me because, I mentioned that I shared my story, and I only had shared, a glimpse of what my story was like, but I went a little bit more into detail this time. So I'm retelling my story with adding a little bit more to it in this volume, because this volume is about domestic violence. And that's it. So these women who are part of this anthology, is 12 of us all together, including me, are sharing their story of overcoming domestic violence in the time that they, or the season that they were in, and how they came out, and hopefully inspire others to see that they're not alone, right?
Wow.
Because they're never alone. There's many of us, but I think that with us being here and being vocal, being bold about it, and sharing our truth and standing in our truth,
Yes.
people will see that, you know what, I probably can do the same thing too. And I see this because I have these women who are a force right here.
Wow. I felt like I just went to a whole event hearing you talk about this. I want to put this image up of this imagery, which is, in my opinion, it's a little softer than the other image. And so I would love to I'm going to ask each of the women here that are represented today, and I'll ask you to unmute yourself and tell me your name and what made you ultimately become a part of this anthology. But I want to pop that up. My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. In the first one, I noticed the person seemed like they were really in the fire and just coming out, Volume 1. So they were walking through hell, but they weren't getting burned. That's what it looked like to me. Then you have the men here, the men's volume, and they look like, hey, we stepping up regardless. We got this. Then here you have this imagery. Why this direction, Dr. Jerry, right quick?
Well, this direction, because we know that purple represents domestic violence, but also purple also represents royalty, and this is royalty coming out of the fire, right?
Okay.
And so that's the reason for these softer colors, but at the same time it still speaks, because as you can see, even though the women were walking through fire at the time and we know that's hot, right, we can still come out on top, and they can see that God gives us beauty for ashes.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Thank you for this. How do people get a copy of this book too?
So we're right now still in the phase of editing the book, but the plan is to drop the book no later than the early part of November. We were shooting for the end of the end of this month, but we're still trying to get everything compiled. But all the authors have turned in their writing, so it's just a matter of compiling the book and getting it together right now. So the goal is to have it basically published and out the gate by mid-November, if not sooner.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Well, I have the other volumes already too, but this one will be in my repertoire. Okay, Rion, if you would unmute yourself, and then you don't put your last name. Look, you got me all twisted over here as the host. Now I got to see what the last name is. Hold on. What is it? Igana?
Igana, yes.
Igana, you're not. You know what, girl? You one of those people, and I'm not even joking, that you have the perfect stage name, Rihanna Igana. Girl, you can work that all day long. Do you know that, right? She's like, oh, she's so dramatic. Okay. All right. You're like, what kind of host is this? All right, Rihanna, please talk to us and tell us who you are and what made you become a part of this anthology, and even just tell us a little bit about your chapter, because I want to hear from you for a moment, if you will.
Yeah, so absolutely. Thank you for having me, of course, and all praise up to God all the time, because yes, I was part of that first volume of authors that came together and wrote in My Walk Past Hell, Volume 1. And of course, during that time, yes, I was still walking in that fire and coming out of it. So I wrote that chapter with a lot of pain, a lot of healing, that I was going through, a lot of shifts in my life that, you just wake up one day and your life isn't the same anymore. So it was very a traumatic time for me. I know, of course, a lot of people I thought were friends had shifted from me. And, just overcoming that entire stage of my life was very difficult. But, thankful to God, I was introduced to Dr. Yolanda, and she encouraged me to write through my pain. And that was really what was one of the biggest things that helped me along this journey. So, and I think from there, I was more so directed to start helping others, which I've done, poured into the community, really spreading awareness of not only what happened to me, but also how I overcame some of those things. So in this next chapter, of course, that again, it's an honor to even be asked to be part of this. And because I did feel like I did not give the proper light to God, to also through my struggle, like, a lot of people just tell you to go pray, but right. You're not really writing, how did you overcome? You're not really writing about the triggers that happened afterwards. So when those doors are closed, when the people aren't around, what are you dealing with? Mentally, physically, everything. So my next chapter, of course, is called Walking in My Truth and Overcoming Triggers. So, and I have to share with you, it was a few months ago, I was in a motor vehicle accident, and airbags imploded. It was a hit and run. The guy got out the car, was cursing up a storm, and I'm just in shock. I'm in shock, and he just leaves his car and walks off.
He leaves the scene and he's just gone.
He's just gone. So I spent about 14 hours in the emergency room. I wound up having to take pictures of my injuries, and it triggered me. It triggered me because it took me back to, you know, literally I'm 4 years out. I shouldn't be dealing with this anymore, you know, but the bruises that I received on my leg where the airbags impacted me,
Right.
you know, the bruises on my face, that I had to take pictures of for the accident, for the attorneys, you know, to send on, for my insurance company. The bruises, I guess, that I received from the abuse 4 years prior were
Right.
10 times worse, 10 times worse. And I realized how numb I was during that time, that I was suffering through this, and not realizing now, here 4 years later, I'm in emergency room, you know, having to be monitored for blood clots, different things like that that can happen from this type of bruising.
Hmm.
And you just were oblivious to, you know, what was really going on. So I just talk about that. I more so talk about, you know, forgiveness, forgiving the people involved, but most of all, forgiving yourself for, you know, staying in that circle for so long. And then also highlighting PTSD. You know, it's not addressed, but so many women suffer from PTSD, and and children are also affected by this.
Yes.
So, you know, it's like I wanted to highlight that for those, you know, most innocent victims that are suffering in silence, because that is what we see filtering over into the streets every single day with you know, children that are not getting that love at home, or they see some type of domestic violence that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, by the time they're graduating, they're suffering from PTSD symptoms as well. So it's more so, you know, talking about that, the lack of love, the lack of love, you know, empathy for lives in itself, and what can we do better? How can we continue to you know, overcome the abuse? And, you know, of course, it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, it's something that you have to daily work towards. And so that's why I've just really trained myself to send positive messages every single day. And that starts my day off, you know, regardless of what I'm dealing with, regardless of those triggers that still take me back to that time period. You know, it's more so, how can I overcome that? And, you know, again, all praises up to God all the time, because every single time I had that weak moment, I've learned to truly trust in Him and see me through this walk.
That's just, you know what, it's very inspiring to hear you share your power. I can feel the power that comes through your story, and I can only imagine when I read your chapter what I'm going to need near my bedside to get through your chapter. That when you made a point, one of the things that you said is life it just wasn't the same anymore. So it's and any of you all can unmute yourself. I know it's not your particular term, but feel free. This is a whole panel discussion here. When you say life, it just wasn't the same, just in a nutshell, tell me, how did it just turn, and you never saw it coming? It was out of the blue, I'm sure, sideswipe. So then it's just there on you. How do you recommend that women that are finding themselves in situations like this, that was unbeknownst to them, that now they're right in the midst of it, but life's just not the same? What advice do you have? Because I don't know the answer.
Well, it's more so, you know, you have to recognize when it's time to go. You know, and on average, you know, I was reading statistics.
Yeah.
Typical women that have, you know, been part of some type of domestic violence, and men as well. Men get abused as well.
Let's be specific about it too. It's 1 in 3 women have experienced some type of domestic violence, and 1 in 4 men. And this is according to the National Coalition.
Right. And on average, they've returned 7 times. Yes. You know, I've returned more than that, you know, because I believe that I'm sorry. I believe that, you know, you're the only one that believes in me. You know, you're the only one that, but it was more so when I was going through that discard phase, it was more so you're still hanging on to the materialistic things versus your own life. So you're like, how am I going to start over? how am I going to, I'm going to disappoint my kids. I'm going through this again. Whatever it is, you have to come to that breaking point to when is enough. So a lot of times God gives us those signs.
Okay.
But, but I wasn't listening. I was still trying to do it my way on my time until I realized when I saw the severest of discard that was happening. I think at that point, there was something that was done that was so disrespectful. And at that point, I realized my life was in danger. My life was no longer valued. Okay. And at that point, I knew that was my breaking point, because I literally had a pastor that could have just shook me and said, Rehan, you've just become numb. You're talking about this like it's normal. And it wasn't normal, because that's why I'm still dealing with these triggers, because now I'm like, that really happened to me. Wow. I'm really driving to the urgent care center myself, holding my lip together, with blood gushing down my shirt, and ready to tell these people another lie so they can stitch up my mouth. So it's like, and that still wasn't enough for me until the severes of the
let them read the book to find out more, because I don't want them to hear the details of that.
No, this isn't part of the book. That was out of the first one, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 1.
But that's traumatic enough right there.
Yeah. So it's more so when it's time to go, but you have to have a plan in place. And it's unfortunate that sometimes you have to start over in a 1-bedroom apartment with your children, to where you just have to make it work, get an air mattress, sleep on the floor, just to be in a safety net. But, and it's unfortunate because some people are, also part of some type of financial abuse to where they can't get away. That was expected to be happening with me, but it was like, I'll always just try to plan ahead. Okay. And if it came down to that, to where, I had to sleep in the car with my child,
whatever it takes.
I had to do it, whatever it takes to get away. And there is help out there. There are centers that are available. I think I was too embarrassed. I was too ashamed at the time to turn to those services. But, I found out afterwards to where now I can advocate for them, because they are there and they are available.
That's good. Great information and the very enlightening comments that you shared. And I'm grateful for everything that you shared here today. Shay, I want to hear from you as well, if you will, if you'll unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your chapter in this book, My Walk Past Hell. For those that are just tuning in, we're talking with the visionary Dr. Yolonda Henderson and some of the anthology contributors to my new book that's coming out in November called My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3, Domestic Violence Stories That They've Survived. Okay, talk to us, Shay. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell us some information about you, and a little bit about your chapter of what people can expect to walk away with when they read your chapter.
Of course. So I actually told Dr. Yolonda, I think I am the wild card of the book, because for me personally, my experience, I don't think it's like any other. I actually was charged and committed for assault on my offender. And so the chapter of my book is called, the title of my chapter is called, And the Monster Is Me. Because when people see me.
In the what?
And the monster is me, because I was
Somebody type that in the studio audience, okay? Because I'm over here doing the most, trying to manage the show and the platform. And the monster is me?
And the monster is me, because I fought back. And because I fought back, I was convicted and still currently have to fight a charge, because I decided that enough was enough. So, yes.
Whoa, I'm going to tell y'all in advance, you have to get the book, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Nobody going to let Okay, Shay, go talk. Because right now I need to hear your story because I probably would catch a charge too. I promise you.
Listen, I'm telling you, you're going to want to catch a charge after this. So I was with my partner for about 7 or 8 years. And like, our co-author said, we see the signs, we try to ignore it. All of the red flags were there, but he was my high school sweetheart. So I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And as we got older, started to go to college, experience life, it started off verbal, oh, you think you're cute. Oh, you think you're better than me. All of the little things we go through in life. And then it became a little tap or a little hit or a slap. And it was, I'm sorry, forgive me. And then it became a choke and I'm blacking out. And it was just more and more and more. And so one particular night, I decided that it's going to be him or it's going to be me. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of covering up the bruises. I'm tired of making excuses. I want more out of life. And so he attacked me and I felt myself blacking out. And immediately I was like, this is your moment to get away. And I stabbed him. And when I stabbed him.
Girl, you're muted. Wait. We can't have you be muted right now for no reason, girl. That's a bad commercial break. Then put us on a
cliffhanger.
You know how you got to rewind. Go back.
So he was my high school sweetheart. We were together forever, and he started doing small things. Verbal abuse. He would slap me. He would choke me. He would do little things, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. I forgive you. It's no problem. He was just playing. But it became to the point where it was every day, multiple times a day. And I was fearful. He would whoop me with the belt. And I'm like, I'm an adult. Why am I being whooped with the belt? Or he would tell me, oh, you can't hang out with your friends. And it was one particular day that I decided, okay, today's the day, Shay. It's going to be him or it's going to be you. What are you going to do? And so he attacked me. And before I knew it, I had stabbed him. And here we are. And I'm like, is he going to die? Am I going to let him live? Should I run? I didn't know what to do. But to sum it all up, as I stated, the monster was me. And I still fight the stigma for standing up for myself because on paper, I look like I am the abuser.
Oh, my goodness, y'all. We have to take a commercial break. We're going to take a commercial break there and come right back to Shay with any questions that you all may have, comments, panel. You can unmute yourself. I don't even know what to say to this. We'll be right back.
My father had 4 of his fingers amputated in a workplace accident. It was the first injured individual I represented. And I knew I had to win that case. When someone walks into my office and they've been injured, I know what they're going through. If you've been injured at work with Hunter and Everett. We've got the experience, so let us help you.
We are back. Shay, the monster clearly was not you. And you did what needed to be done to defend your space and everything that's happened. We know that. But what advice do you give now that you're on the other side of things? Because it may look very different now from your perspective and how you would have handled it. What advice do you give to women? Do you recommend they take matters into their own hands, or do you recommend something different?
I definitely wouldn't recommend taking matters into your own hands to that extreme. At the time I was in school, I was young, I didn't realize what was going on. So I always say, never ignore the red flags because they're there for a reason, right? And so now that I'm older, and by profession, I'm a mental health clinician. So seek the help. We're there to help you. So I would say, talk to somebody, a friend, a relative, a teacher, anybody, but never ignore the red flags and never put yourself in a situation where you have to choose life or death. Because for me, that's what I thought it was, life or death.
That is beautiful advice. Beautiful advice from Shay Johnson. The chapter is, And the Monster is Me. So get my walk past hell. I see a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to go through and do like a flash round, because that way I can manage it smoothly and give each of these wonderful ladies an opportunity to share with you today. So I am grateful, Shay, for what you've shared. And I want to go over to you, if you don't mind. Let me go to you, Carlene. Is that okay if we can go to you next? I'm doing things a little differently because I want to make sure we get to hear from each of you with your stories, your chapters. And then also, if you didn't put your contact information over in the private chat, do that for me so I can put it all up at the end as well. Carlene, talk to us, if you will. Who are you? I see you're beautiful over there, beautiful smile, and excited to have you here today. But tell us more about your story.
Well, thank you so much, Kim, for having me.
Hey, you have a voice like that too? I wanted that kind of voice. I thought I had that kind of voice, but then I realized mine is more high pitched. You're like, thank you, Kim, for having me. I'm like, that's ideal. Go, Carlene.
Alrighty. So I'm a registered nurse, and former foster parent. I ran 2 group homes where I had over 12 kids, and from the group home, I adopted 3. Well, overall 6 between my ex-husband and myself, and raised them all. And everybody has graduated high school, and so far is doing well, except the last 2, which are who I wrote about in this book. I'm listening to everyone on the panel that has already spoken, and I'll address a few things that I did differently.
Yeah.
My story is actually about 2 of my foster daughters that were molested by my ex-husband.
Oh, gosh,
Yes.
this is too much.
And this happened while I was in nursing school. So a part of me was, nursing school, I was so focused, and he used that opportunity to his advantage, And one of the things that was very obvious about red flags, nursing school kind of turned me into an assessment monster. So when I walk into a room, you start looking at everything and you see things that you normally would not see. So as I come back from school, I started to see changes, like very subtle changes. All of a sudden, my room turned into a snack bar. And initially, we had rules, no food in the room. The girls are running in and out of the room, and everything I objected to, my ex would gaslight me, and you have a problem with everything. You are the problem. So, of course, after a while, after his verbal abuse, I stopped talking and I started documenting and taking pictures of things. And there's something you have built in called your gut.
Yeah.
God gave it to you for a reason. That woman intuition, don't ever doubt it.
That's right.
Because every time I acted on that, I would walk onto something that was a red flag and I talk about it, he ignored it. So the long and short of it is I prayed. I stayed in my prayer closet. And what God showed me was use that R. Kelly documentary. Show it every day. I didn't know why.
In the home, you showed it every day, right in your house?
Yes, in my house, I show the girls every day. With my husband watching at the time, he was very annoyed because, of course, the details made him uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that was a big red flag for me was his comment after we watched the video. He said, and I'm Jamaican, so I'm going to talk it in his...
Oh, that's what it is. You, girl,
Yes.
I thought it was you Jamaican. You doing this. Okay, go ahead. So every day you would watch this documentary in the
and I show it to the girls.
And
when I showed it to them, I explained everything about, I'm in nursing school, so I used the opportunity. I explained about herpes. I explained about manipulation of men and all of that, giving you clothes, because this was also happening. It was bringing them new clothes, taking them to the mall, just different things that we never did before, hugging them differently. So I started to take pictures, and his comment about the movie was, man no see meat, man no see age, man see meat. That means men do not see age, they see only meat. So when I heard that comment, I thought to myself, and I said it aloud, you crazy, you have girls, you have children, what are you talking about?
Right.
So from there, I even got more vigilant. So over time, showing the R. Kelly video, one day, March 22nd, after I graduated nursing school, did my NCLEX. Now I'm super vigilant, so I'm on top of his nerve. And the girls finally spoke. I saw a bump on one of them, the oldest lip,
Uh-huh.
and I started to talk about it. I went back on my soapbox, and all of a sudden, I connected with something. She looked in my eyes and she said, "Mom, can I speak to you privately?"
Oh,
And we got the outcry the next day. Now that only
you got the
validated
what
everything.
cry? What did you say? You had the what happened the next day?
The outcry, that's when they came the next day and told me
Okay.
that my ex was molesting them. Now that only validated everything that I kind of suspected and kept taking pictures and documenting.
Hmm.
So what I did that day, the minute they made the outcry, I broke all ties. I
That
left
day.
that day. I left home on my way to work and I grabbed my girls in my car, called my other daughter and told her, grab my safety box. In my safety box is registration papers, money, and just important document. That's it. So when I left and I went to a hotel, we were homeless. So when Rihanna talk about change, my life one day we had everything and the next day we had nothing.
Hmm.
I left and I went and I lived in a hotel room for 3 weeks. The only people that knew where I was my pastor Linda and Greg, and they showed up, and she did for us the best thing that she could have done because out of embarrassment and just feeling less than, I had nothing. And what she did was she just said, "Hey, we're gonna pray for you, but what size clothes do you wear? What size clothes does the girl wear? The girls wear? Do you have food? What do you want to eat?" And she took care of all of that. So for me, what kept us safe was just my foresight. I kept one step ahead of him every single time. I was in contact with him when he called and I confronted him. We taped every conversation. All of that was used into evidence for court.
Wow.
After AIDS for victims of domestic abuse was my savior. They actually represented me free for my divorce immediately,
Mm.
and my attorney was awesome because she trained me enough that the summary I wrote, that summary was used in court for the um, criminal trial, and my husband was convicted 50 years
Mm.
without bail. And by the way, he's a CPS worker. He was a CPS worker.
See, oh my gosh. So
So
it
what
does not
do you
matter what
trust
the
with your
person's
children?
title is, what their financial status is. From what I'm hearing from you all, none of that matters because you think that just because somebody is a certain caliber of stature in life, that
Yeah.
they are exempt from it. That doesn't always mean
No.
the case. Wow. So the name of your chapter, please tell us,
The
Curly.
name of my chapter is Rising from the Ashes of the Outcry. Because
Wow, rising
after the
from the
outcry,
ashes
yes,
of the.
after the outcry, really quick, you think it's all over, but that's when hell started, and we went through a whole lot. But God has been faithful. So the oldest girl that was molested, graduated high school, and she's in college now for journalism. The youngest is in high school. She also helped another child to make an outcry, and that child was saved. So I'm
Thank
just
you.
thankful that I'm getting this opportunity to use my voice. And one of the things I really want to pinpoint to parents is open your eyes. Don't trust anybody over your children. Watch patterns. Watch patterns and you're going to see bad behavior from the child, but separate the behavior from the child and you'll
That's
see the
great.
root of where it's coming from
I'm so
because they're
grateful for
manipulated by
I'm
people.
grateful for your ability to observe and to start documenting and having that level of intuition and gut feeling. So thank you for that. Thank you for letting and sometimes, like you said, because it's a foster child or an adoptive
Oh,
situation,
yes.
it could easily be, well, we are in this together, some people. But I
Mhm.
really appreciate you being a mother to those foster children.
One more thing, Kim,
Yes.
just quickly. I'm glad that you mentioned that because they're foster kids. The grapevine tore us apart. Everybody blamed them and me. Nobody blamed the perpetrator.
I wonder why that is, and that's probably a whole episode in itself. And any of you all that have insight to this, please feel free to come back on the Kim Jacobs Show, not just on that particular thing. Any of you, your individual stories, I welcome you all to come back and to have your own 1 hour episode talking about your story, because your story needs to go out further, even just beyond this snippet that's happening here today, because each person has some phenomenal information. Wow. Thank you so much, Carlene, for sharing that. And I can't wait to read your chapter. Geneva, finally, you done sat silent. You about to take a nap over there, girl. You're like, Lord, just, I don't know what to say at this point. Okay. Geneva, thank you for being here today. Tell us who you are and what chapter you wrote in this book, My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3.
Yes, thank you for having me, Kim. I appreciate the opportunity. Dr. Yolanda, Lady Henderson, thank you so much for the opportunity as well to be a part of this phenomenal project. The title of my chapter is Pain, Pressure, and Purpose. What I talk about is, first of all, I have to say, these women are phenomenal. Just the stories that I've heard so far, I can't wait to read it myself. The strength and the grace that's being portrayed here on the stage today is just amazing to me. So I'm humbled to be a part and alongside them in this literary project. My chapter talks about, I start off talking about a diamond, the pressure that it goes through from going from being a stone to becoming this brilliant jewel that people want to parade around as though it just came that way, not realizing that it went through some things in order to get where it is in its current state. I talk about my own domestic violence situation with my ex-husband at the time, that put myself and my children through literally hell. I've seen how.
Wait, he was your ex-husband when the domestic violence was happening?
Yes. I am remarried now, and he is not the one that did that.
I see what you're saying. But while
I was married before, yes, I was married before. Okay. And the ex-husband was the person that was the abuser at the time. God bless him. I have forgiven and moved on. It was years ago. Nevertheless, I talk about the diamond being what it is because of it goes through so much transition in order to get where it has become. And I've been held at gunpoint with my children. I've had to climb out of windows and be told that there was nothing the police could do for me because the gun was registered, or I've been mishandled and lied upon, even going to the church and trying to get help there, and only to be told that basically, in a nutshell, without saying too much, is just nothing they could do. So I've gone through the spiritual abuse, the verbal, the mental, the physical, even as far back as I talk about growing up in a household that was filled with domestic violence, being mishandled by family members and that type of thing. But I lean more heavily in my chapter about my faith and how God carried me through all of that, and how there is a purpose in the pain and the pressure that I had to experience to become who I am today, and who I am becoming, because I haven't even scratched the surface yet, Kim. I have not. Being able to be that light and that beacon of hope for other people, so that they can see you can overcome it. It's not, your past does not define you, and just because the enemy meant to destroy you does not, what he meant for evil, God turned it around for your good. And so I lean on the fact that I found my faith in the Lord. And even I talk about how even though I had faith, it didn't mean that I didn't have trouble. I had to learn how to navigate that. I had to learn how to lean on God rather than focus on what people said. I had to find that place of deliverance from what folks thought about me, and just purposely, intentionally lean heavily in where it was that my safety was, which was in God. My hope lied in the Lord. So finding that strength to be able to move about without the opinions of folk, being able to just navigate the waters in my time without giving the airtime to the naysayers, and really keeping my focus and headspace in a place where I could just focus on God and allow him to teach me and guide me and lead me without having to waver to the left or the right because of people trying to lean me to the left or the right or tell me to do something a different way. I needed to follow God's way. So I lean heavily on that in my chapter because there is pain, yes, but the pressure is part of the process to bring us into our purpose.
But how easy is it from your perspective, being when you're in the midst of that particular type of storm? A lot of people that may be watching right now may be secretly in that kind of storm. How important is it for them to lean on their faith in the midst of that moment?
It's everything. It's everything. I think all too often we put premium on people rather than the purpose and rather than the plans of God. I mean, man didn't create me and they didn't give me my story. They don't carry me from one place to another. You don't have a heaven or a hell to put me in either. So at the end of the day, I needed to find, see, just a little bit about me. I was raised not in the church. I was raised of another faith, Jehovah's Witness to be exact. So my belief system was different. I didn't understand what was happening in my life. I didn't have that relationship with Christ. But once I found the Lord, or I was blessed with the opportunity to connect with God, I was disfellowshipped from my entire family. So I had nobody. I was exiled from my family. So my faith in God was my family. That's who I had, was my church family. Only to find that when trouble and trials happened, that they turned on me. And, you know, I wasn't even a part of them anymore. So that's the spiritual abuse part of it that I talk about. And why is it so important to lean in it? Because it's all you got. Only what you do for Christ is going to last at the end of the day.
Wow.
Was it easy? Absolutely not. And I would never sit and say that, oh yeah, just go lean on your faith. No, honey, it's not that easy. It's a personal walk. I believe one of the co-authors said, you got to know just when it's time to leave. And that means having a made up mind and your heart is fixed and your mind is clear in understanding that no matter what people say, folk will have you in situations that they won't stay in themselves. And so when I would go and I would say, he took all of my clothes out of my bedroom and he threw them behind the couch and he put padlocks on the door and he wouldn't allow me to do X, Y, and Z. And the pastor tells me, well, you just need to dress in the living room. Well, sir, with all due respect, I have a problem with that. Because see, being a pastor is not lording over the people, but it's laboring alongside them. So whenever I have an issue, I would expect that I can go to my spiritual leader and find some type of resources. Even if you don't want to get involved, give me something. Don't tell me just to deal with it. So that was my situation. I'm not saying that all pastors are that way. But to make it plain, ultimately, you have to have that personal relationship and know that trust your gut. I heard somebody else say that. If you feel that it's not right, then I promise you, it's probably not. God gives us good sense. Okay? He gives us good sense. He gives us perfect sense. A lot of times we ignore it because we go for what's familiar as opposed to what's not familiar. So
Wow.
The unknown can be uncomfortable. But I had to learn, Queen Kim, I had to learn that I had to get comfortable with embracing what was uncomfortable for me.
Wow.
Because that's how I was able to grow. And I share that with women far and near, with no judgment, with no drama. We got to just support and love on one another. And when we know that there's an outcry, as what Queen Carlene said, when there's an outcry, pay attention, pray attention, and grab hold of your sister. We say we are sister's keeper. So how am I going to keep you if all I do is sit back and judge you? I'm just saying too. So, I mean, what you're saying is so profound that people need to get a copy of what's going to be said in My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Is coming out hot off the press in November. You don't want to miss this opportunity. There are 2 other volumes. If you're waiting as you're building up to the November release date, go ahead and get those as well. My Walk Past Hell, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Volume 2 is actually the men's edition of men talking about their survival of domestic violence. And so you don't want to miss getting any of these volumes that are already here. But today we're talking about My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. And these are some of the authors and the visionary herself, Dr. Yolonda Henderson. Lisa, thank you for being here. And I want to hear from you. So I haven't taken as many commercial breaks this day because we want to hear from each of you. Tell us who you are and what you are going to be talking about in your chapter.
Hi, thank you, Kim, so much, and Dr. Yolanda for this opportunity. Anytime I'm given the opportunity, I want to share because this is a very important issue and dear to my heart. I'm Lisa Evans. I'm an evangelist and I'm a domestic violence advocate. I started my own nonprofit, Sprout Foundation Incorporated, is single parent reaching out because I've gone through domestic violence in several different relationships. And the story that I tell in My Walk Past Hell is I never saw it coming because this was the first relationship that I had, single, without children, supporting myself, but just starting a relationship with a guy thinking, he was Prince Charming. And I'll fast forward to the day that he decided I was going to die. And he kept repeatedly telling me how he was going to kill me as he punched me and beat me. After the police had already left that evening, telling him, don't put your hands on her anymore. Let her just stay here because it's 2 a.m. in the morning. She can't be driving around. And since we've been here, you don't want to get in any more trouble. Well, I'm going to tell you this, Kim, to sum it up. I would have beat Flojo 10 times in the running when I got free and got out of that apartment and got to safety where the apartment security guard could call the police for me and give me help. And when I say terror, I learned that day, it was so much terror and fear in my heart that I didn't even return to Fort Worth for 3 years. It took me, I moved back to Houston because I was living in Fort Worth at the time. And I moved back to Houston for 1 entire year. I lived in fear, going to work with my friends, not working myself, being every place I could where there's another person. It took a year for me to feel comfortable again and not look over my shoulder. And like everyone has said on here, learning that there was a God and that I had to not live like that, because living in fear is not a way for anybody to live and be captivated and always watching over your back thinking someone is trying to kill you. That's how dramatic it was for me.
Wow. Now you say the police, because this is some good, what you're saying is interesting because the police came. And so what I think I'm taking away from what you're saying is when the police get there, you get gone, no matter what I would think. But you tell me, I'm not, in this case, you didn't get gone, you stayed. But what I'm asking you is, do you recommend that when the police arrives, that the person gets out, no matter what it takes? Tell the police, take me with you, do whatever, get me out of here. What do you recommend?
At that time, I'm going to tell you, now it's changed. The law has changed. Okay. Because now, even if the police will do something different, back then, the police didn't. They didn't get involved. They asked the woman to stay, you know what I'm saying? And because I was saying, I thought they would rescue me. I thought they would take me away. I thought, or take him away. I thought somebody would leave that night.
Right.
But at that time, the laws were different. And it took a lot of women, and it's sad to say, it took several different women to die, Kim, before the laws changed. And now the police do get involved and they do separate the people. But before, it wasn't like that.
Well, your chapter is called
Never Saw It Coming.
Never Saw It Coming. And you're the founder of Sprout Academy. Never saw it coming. And this was just a regular guy that you fell in love with. Things were going well. No signs until the day that it happened.
No, he actually, it was just like everyone else said. It started off small, you know, pushing, shoving, and he kind of, I'm gonna tell you something. He saw me as like a trophy. That's what he would say. And it would be things that, like, he would invite his friends over, have me put on a particular outfit. After them making comments and saying how nice I looked, once they left, then he would beat me profusely. Like it was my fault that they had commented on what I was wearing. And I mean, so much so one time his barber, he had gone to the barber shop without me. I was at home. He came home and he beat me because the barber asked how I was doing. Apparently to him, I was seeing the barber or something because that man asked how I was doing, you know. So I mean, I lived in total fear all the time, but and I didn't have, honestly, I didn't have children. It was a relationship I thought I wanted to be in, but I later found out, as I described in the book, he had his own demons in his mind because he was supposed to had been an NFL player. The day that he was supposed to sign the contract, he injured himself in his last college game. And so that devastated him. And I guess it put him in a state of, I don't know, whatever it was, but he just became abusive to me.
Oh, so you don't know what he was dealing with, but still, at the end of the day, he took it out.
It filtered out on me, and so much so, like I said, he told me the entire plan that day of, taking me to get my paycheck, getting me to cash it, and then coming back, killing me, putting me in my car, and putting my car in the woods.
And he told you the whole layout.
Oh,
and
yes.
When you got away, you were able to safely get to where you are now. You're here telling your story.
Exactly. I can tell.
Praise
yes.
God. All right. Wow. I mean, you guys, you have to get the book. And I don't know, are they able to pre-order it, Dr. Yolanda?
That information will be coming out soon.
Okay.
Just tell them to be on the lookout for everybody. The authors that's here and the ones from before, just be on the lookout on their pages and their contact info. They'll be pushing it out.
It's so much information that we have to make sure that you can stay connected with anything with Dr. Yolonda Henderson. If you follow her, she has you connected to all of these different authors as well. And we're going to take one final commercial break and come back and hear a closing comment, Dr. Yolanda, from everyone. And then we're going to close out today's episode. And we'll pop some of your comments up as we close out as well. This has been nothing short of amazing having you all on today. And we'll be right back as we prepare to close out. All right, everyone, we are back, and so honored to have Dr. Yolanda J. You got the J there. That's what's throwing me off in the middle. So it's Dr. Yolanda J. Henderson here today, and what we're hearing about is how these women have survived and thrived through domestic violence. So I would love for you, if you would, let's start with you, Carlene. If you can unmute yourself down there and just say a closing comment, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I am just going to encourage everyone to really share their story, because Sabrina Greenlee shared her story with me when she gave me a makeover, and that has really empowered me to share mine. And I have a message for the grapevine. Do better. As ladies, because it's always ladies, their gossiping could have cost us our lives. And I feel like as women, we should be standing with each other.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And how people can stay connected with you is, tell them how they can stay connected with you briefly.
So my email is carleneckles, rn56@gmail. On social media, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook page is Carlene.Nichols.9. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Geneva, please tell them as well a closing comment and how they can stay connected with you, please.
I just want to say thank you again for allowing me to be on your show. Thank you, Dr. Yolanda, for what you're doing here. And just get the book. Get the book. It's a worthwhile read for sure. And I commend every woman that uses her voice. Continue to do so. I say unmute the silence of domestic violence because it's necessary and it can save lives. I do want to say with Black women in particular, African American women, a lot of times the authorities or law enforcement does not take our complaints seriously, even still, which is why we still have high statistical death rates and fatalities, and everything is a joke when it comes to us, when in all actuality it's just as serious as if it were a white woman or anybody else. So we need to learn how to stand together as African American women, as women in general, but realize it's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you look statistically, it's the truth. So that's why when the last queen was talking, she said back then, Queen Lisa, back then they didn't take it seriously. To a point, they still do, but it's not 100% where it should be, which is why, we still have the statistical imbalance. But they can reach me on all social media platforms at She Is Geneva D. Ashley, or you can reach out to mgdecree@gmail.com. And if you want to book me there, mgdecree@gmail.com is the best way to reach me. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, and IG, all as She Is Geneva D. Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geneva. Shay, if you would, tell them a closing comment and how they can stay connected with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Yolanda. Thank you as well. I said she fell into my life at the right time. And similar to my sisters, what I would say is, don't be afraid to share your story. For me, this was one of the hardest things that I had to do because my story is unique. So don't be afraid to share your story. You never know who you're going to help. And also with that, it's okay to ask for help. And so for me, I can be reached on social media, Shay Johnson for Facebook, Shay J Mom Balls for Instagram and Twitter. And get the book. We have a lot of power in the pages.
Excellent. Shay Johnson, everyone. Rianne, please tell them a closing comment and how they can stay connected with you.
Yeah, I want to really just reiterate again what I said earlier. It's just more so when we're overcoming abuse, it doesn't just happen overnight. So just continue to surround yourself with a group or circle of people that will really empower you, but also learn how to fix your relationship with God and go to Him in your time of need. And of course, take those positive steps every single day. And thank you again for having me on this show. I also want to definitely piggyback on what Ms. Carlene said. We as women, we have to do better. We are nurturers, we're mothers. And when we're trying to hold some of these, men or women accountable, there's women there also are hurting other women, and and which is creating these patterns of domestic violence. And I'm not saying it is the root of it, but a lot of times it is because it's what society is pushing, versus having a home that's together, to where these couples continue to deal with these struggles. And a lot of times domestic violence is a result of from that. So but thank you again for your time. And of course my website is b2bwaymaker.com. Yes.
I was like, something else was up, but I'm trying to get
this.
Okay,
yes.
So there you go. Tell people how they can stay connected with you one more time, because I had something up.
Yeah, it's at the b2bwaymaker.com is the website, or b2bwaymaker@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. And I love the comment that you're making about the women working more collaboratively together. So thank you. Lisa, please share your closing comment and your way to stay connected.
My closing comment is we were all fearfully and wonderfully made by Christ. No one should endure any type of abuse. If you find yourself in that situation, please get help, because no one deserves physical, mental, anything. God created us all equal. Remember that. And you can get in touch with me on Instagram. I am Lisa W. Evans. My email is lisawevans@gmail.com, or Facebook. Just look up Lisa Evans.
Thank you so much. And we're going to have our final closing comment from Dr. Yolonda Henderson. And you know what? I go over a few minutes on purpose with this many people because I want to make sure you get a chance to share your information. And you've done a beautiful job of doing that. And in the studio audience, before you make your closing comment, Dr. Yolonda, I'd like to address at least just a few of these comments. Is that okay with you all with the timing? Because I like to, our audience comments, and they know that I'm gonna pull the comments up. They like, Kim, you did the most today ignoring us. And I can't have that. They'll be like, man, okay. Let's just go through just a few if we can. And thank you all so much for being so interactive in the studio audience. We really appreciate it. And let's see. Lisa, I see your contact information up here. So let me grab some of these comments. Wow, it was a whole bunch. It was a whole bunch of comments, huh? Oh gosh. Okay. Vanita, I see you saying good morning, beautiful ladies. And now I know it's afternoon, so your comment came early on. Lee Wright is in volume 2. He's representing, I suppose that's who's here. Glad to have you, Lee. And who else made some comments? Make sure y'all get all the volumes, because 2 of them are already out. So go get those. Don't wait and wait for only for the volume 3. Get volume 1 and 2 and start reading. You know how you cuddle up and start making sure you reading, getting ready for volume 3. Mavis, Kenyatta, I see all of you, the purple hearts. Thank you for the purple hearts representing the domestic violence awareness. And I see you in your comments as well, the empowerment advocate. Mavis, I see you, and thank you so much for your comment. I want to make sure any questions or anything that came in. Great perseverance, ladies, is what they said. You leave with your life. Thank God each of you left with your life. These are comments. Dr. Peters is over a network called Believe in Your Dreams television network. She's here today seeing your story. You don't know what other hosts are going to be reaching out to learn more from you all. And I'm a part of Believe in Your Dreams television network as well. And I'm honored. We beep, 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 because we love each other. Okay. I've been there, she said. Dr. Peters said, I have been there. And The Monster Is Me is Shay Johnson's title. That's Pastor Frank Henderson, which is Lady Yolanda. Now I can't put no more new title. If I do that, I'm really going to botch it up, right? Lady Dr. Yolanda J. Henderson's husband. That's right. That's right. All right. So he's in the house. Thank you so much for supporting your wife and being the man of God that you are. Mavis, thank you so much for all of your comments. We see, and The Monster Was Me. Yes, sis. Yes. Fire. Lots of fire. Yes, either me or him. Girl, I don't care how you slice it. I agree with Shay. It's like, no, we ain't gonna go too far, but no, we ain't rolling like that. No. And then you gotta not be with your kids because then you in trouble. This is crazy. Somebody said Jesus, evangelist. I see you typing. Lady Justine Hillier from Change the World. Thank you so much for being here today. Won't he do it? Yes. Rose Slade. Her son passed away, and she wrote a story about Vary's journey and her family. She's here, and she put a comment. She said, oh my goodness. Glory to God is what Dr. Nicole Peters said, that you all basically made it out. And everybody's saying, Nikita Payton said, that's right. Thank God. Giving you kisses and hugs. Hello, my sister Geneva, Dr. Peters said. Okay, I'm probably not going to preach, Pastor Ashley. Pastor Henderson said, I see a lot of tagging. You guys, thank you all so much for being in the virtual studio audience today. It's because of you that the Kim Jacobs Show can even come on daily like this. Somebody said, let me see. One more. Let me see if I can get a couple more. Because y'all did interact a whole lot. You're right. Texas finally changed their laws. I I like to die in Texas, because when the police came, they told me to just leave for 2 hours, but he was able to still come back. So thank goodness that the laws have changed. I'm really grateful. And then the person took the anger out on you. I see your comments. Powerful testimonies, Mavis said. My Walk Past Hell, Volume 3. Pastor Henderson said, woo, this is like some heavy stuff that y'all are sharing. And he's so proud of you all. Okay, lots of other comments have been coming in. Each of these panelists will be able to go back and go into some of these platforms and answer your questions or comments. I see you, Rayala. I'm trying to acknowledge people that are new here, that tuned in. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here today. And I want to hear a closing comment. Dr. Yolonda Henderson, if you would, please.
Yes, ma'am. Well, really, right now, because we never know who's going to be, even though they're not tuning in right now and they're coming back and watching the replay. I want to speak to the person who may be experiencing, because this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So if this is someone who is experiencing domestic violence, or know someone, you may know someone, I just want to offer some words of encouragement to let you know that you are stronger and more resilient than you may realize. And also understand that overcoming domestic abuse is a journey filled with challenges. You're going to have challenges even when you're overcoming, but remember that you're not alone. There is a community of support, as you can see, these women here who are part of My Walk Past Hell Volume 3. We have Miss Kim Jacobs too as well. She's a good support network, and we love to help you on your path to healing and freedom. Remember, you deserve a life free from fear, free from pain, and your strength will guide you towards a brighter future. Keep believing in yourself, keep seeking help and support, and never give up on the beautiful life that you deserve, because you are worth it. And last but not least, remember, if you don't feel like you can lean on anybody else, because I'm a woman of faith, lean on God and He will direct your path. And that's all I have.
Yes. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not into your own understanding, but in all ways acknowledge Him, and He got you. You can do a trust fall in God. That's so important to know. If you can't trust man or woman or whatever, you can always trust God. So keep that in mind. I want to pop the domestic violence hotline up in the United States. I do know that the show streams in different countries, so look into your local domestic violence hotline number. But here in the United States, where I'm filming, it's 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. And then there was another site too. Was it the hotline.org you said the last time? Okay. The hotline.org. Make sure you all have that information as well. The hotline.org. Dr. Yolonda, Jerry, and all of you beautiful women that are here representing so peacefully domestic violence, and as horrific as that is, for you to be here today has just really warmed my heart. And so thank you for taking your time to share your stories. And you're welcome back individually too to come and be my guest for an hour, okay? All right, everybody, that's today's episode. Thank you for tuning in and staying a few minutes extra. And we will see you on another episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. Actually, Freestyle Friday is coming up tomorrow. We have someone that's going to teach you how to buy your time back. He's actually the author of 101 Things That You Need to Know About Jail. That's a good topic he talks about. And then we also have we have Sam Cooks. He's a legendary singer. His son, who recently found out he's the son of legendary singer Sam Cooke, will be on. We have a joy bringer. She's a sunshine expert, and someone that talks about reinventing yourself after divorce. So you want to tune in to tomorrow's episode. All right, everybody, that's it. Have a great day. Subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, and make sure you donate. If you haven't donated, donate. You can donate any kind of way. I don't charge people to be on the Kim Jacobs Show, but there are some of the ways to donate. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, ladies, and I'll be backstage if you want to talk for a few minutes. Have a great one, everybody. All right. Bye-bye. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show, and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you, and make it a great day.